Hey everyone, this is the foreword to Ante Ciliga's The Russian Enigma. This is from 1937, the foreword is at least. Everyone knows that the world, this old world of ours, is riddled with lies, violence, and injustice. Even those capitalists who enjoy privileged positions have ceased to believe in its future. If the ancient order still persists, it is not because of the ancient order's created resources. It is merely a protracted decomposition. At this moment in history, capital H history, the Soviet Union is manifest in the eyes of the workers and of the whole of humanity as the focal point of a new world. There, at the price of desperate effort, and in spite of all obstacles, a new society is being built up, a society imperfect in many ways, but, we are told, in which is achieved the emancipation of labor, together with others of humanity's ageless dreams. Unfortunately, the truth is very different. Real life in the USSR, and the conditions prevailing throughout that country, prove that an inverted evolution has triumphed, an evolution which tends to consolidate society on the basis of a new form of oppression and a renewed exploitation. Modern Russia shows modern Russia's originality in the fact that this new edition of the past is bedecked with the brightest colors, the most advanced theories, the most modern slogans, and the most daring dream visions. Nowhere else in the world, therefore, exist such flagrant contradictions between official theory and real life, between hopes and their fulfillment, between word and deed. The official ideology is the only ideology permitted in Russia, which means that their social and political life is permeated with lies to an incredible extent. At every step one encounters them, one realizes them in the life of every citizen, whatever his condition. The first words uttered by public orators contain them. This terrible contradiction pursued me throughout the 10 long years I spent in the USSR. The situation is still further complicated by the fact that, in present-day Russia, capitalist exploitation, political oppression, and even slavery go hand in hand with a certain undeniable progress. Other examples of such strange wedlock could be found in history. The rise of entire social strata, genuine exploits in the conquest of a material world, the raising of the level of civilization, all are there. This rapid and breathtaking progress, added to exploitation and oppression, to the lies disguised as slogans, such as, quote, liquidation of classes, end quote, and, quote, abolition of man's exploitation by man, end quote, causes the USSR to appear in the eyes of a tired and despairing Europe as a distant savior, vaguely crowned with a halo. The myth of Soviet Russia is one of the most tragic misunderstandings of our time. The Soviet experiment once more presents the problems of progress, socialism, and of the very foundations of human life, but this time in a larger way. The pages you will read are by no means intended to analyze or solve these problems. My aim is to describe what I heard and saw in the most widely distant provinces of this immense country, at various stages of its development, among all classes of society inside and outside prison. The picture of Soviet life I portray it appears to me, though in somber hue, to contain bright patches. In spite of the sufferings of a revolution, in spite of the final degeneration of that revolution, the country possesses many advantages over the West, where people are stifled in social stagnation. But it would show lack of depth and an incomplete understanding of the Western crisis to suggest to the West that it should follow the example of Russia, a suggestion that is put forward by those who imagine that the USSR is building up a form of socialism. The emancipation of the proletariat and of humanity would demand much bolder and more profound programs than the one that Russia is able to provide. Russia, a reactionary power, which every day is drifting farther away from socialism and is becoming more and more reconciled to the old Western outlook. The forces that demand a renaissance of the West, that which, for an effective emancipation and transformation of Occidental society, should join, not with the ruling class of the USSR, but with the immense stratum of the exploited and oppressed people. The bureaucratic state still holds over them its iron rod, its fearful apparatus of coercion, preventing every free manifestation of the worker's will. In the everyday life of the USSR, one meets at every turn with ill-disguised hatred, cherished by laborers and Caucasians, for the triumphant bureaucratic order. Everywhere within the masses, one feels the budding wish for a different and better rule. The two currents, the bureaucrats' official lies and the secret hatred of the masses, feed Soviet life and fill the following pages. New section. The recent Moscow trials make it easier for the reader to understand this book. Those who have lived in Russia during the terrible years between 1928 and 1936 will see, in these blood-stained trials, the striking confirmation of the truths that could not be known before except by those outside the pale of official life, that is, in prison or in exile. The internal decomposition of the regime has now become apparent to the whole world. I have attempted faithfully to render my impressions, which altered considerably in the course of 10 years. I began by seeing Russia with the eyes of a conscientious and somewhat overwhelmed foreign tourist. It was but gradually that I felt mistrust rise within me. During the last 8 years of my stay in Russia, I became more and more permeated with a spirit critical of the system and of Trotsky, and finally even of Lenin. I by no means pretend to throw a glaring light on Russia. My only aim is the truth, a valuable thing in these days when so many conscious and obvious lies are told about that country. I am fully convinced of the necessity of writing about the USSR and the Russian Revolution in a spirit of absolute sincerity, putting aside the Bolshevist principle of deforming facts, quote, in the interests of the revolution, end quote. Experience has proved, I am sure, that all means are not permissible in the service of revolution. Shameful means end by compromising the best of causes. I wish to avail myself of this opportunity to express all my grateful thanks to my numerous friends both in Russia and abroad who have helped me in the preparation of this book. Ante Ciliga, Paris, July 1937.